Paul Farrington. I believe the first guest to ever reappear in Two Promoters One Pod. How are you, pal?
I feel like I've been reversed over by a bus, but I'm fucking delighted to be here. Delighted to be the first repeat guest. But yeah, been a great fucking weekend. Let's go all about it. How are you boys?
I am not delighted about anything in life right now, Paul. I'm regretful. I'm regretful of all my choices, including going to festivals, starting podcasts, and anything else you can choose. But yeah, I did have a lovely weekend.
I'm somewhere between bursting into tears at any moment and falling asleep. And I can get myself quite worked up for the podcast, and not least when I'm talking about my favourite thing, which is Damnation. But my God, I'm in a funk, like a proper daze. We were scheduled to do this last night, which would have been the Tuesday. I think that might have been impossible. I collapsed somewhere between 5 and 7 and went to sleep for 45 minutes and woke up in the days again. It's just, it was outrageous. The amount of damage we've done to ourselves over that weekend with no sleep and very little food and far too much alcohol was unreal.
Fuck. Whose idea was it to go to 2 days? That was a stupid fucking idea, wasn't
it? who did? Who actually mentioned that? Who was the first person? I remember us looking at it for the 10th anniversary and thinking, oh, well, let's do something a bit different. And then the pushback from our crowd are now 10 years older. The pushback from when we were all 30 was very clever and thoughtful. And then we're all in our 40s and 50s. Like, you know what? Let's go for the 2 days. And I'm not here to whine with my violin. I had a fucking brilliant time. And as if
was an absolute
this is how I have to feel afterwards, then fair enough.
Yeah.
So how are we? Today's one, James has been good enough to put it together for us. Well, the rest, me and Paul, struggle and die, even though he was dying himself. But tell us a wee bit about the weekend, James. You being the guest of Damnation and not the guest of the podcast, tell us a wee bit how it went for you. But deep diving it too much, which we can get into after some audience questions.
I mean, so we came with 13 of us. So there was 13 of us there on Friday. Which just turns out is a big group to go to a festival with. It's many, many years, decades since I've been to a festival with that many people. I had a brilliant time. There's a couple of absolute game-changingly outstanding live sets, which we'll talk about later. 2 in particular that really blew me away, which I wasn't necessarily 100% expecting to be that excited about. And just a lovely mix of like friends and music industry people that we hung out with, and so many nice Damnation fans coming and saying hello, and podcast fans coming and saying hello. It was a really, really like heartwarming experience for me. I mean, I'm properly in a hole now. I've had too much fun, way too much fun, and although I have one tiny excuse, is that on Friday night after Night of Salvation, I was at A&E from 1 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. With someone who will remain nameless, who needed my support. They're fine now, but so I missed a whole night's sleep on the first night of Damnation. I got back to my hotel at 9:15 in the morning. I set my alarm for this is commitment to the cause. I think it's my greatest ever festival dig-in moment. I set my alarm for 2 hours. I went to sleep. I got up at 11:15. I had a shower and I came back to the festival, and I stayed until, I don't know, 1 a.m. that night.
I mean, did you catch like Oryx? Did you catch like an opening band or just after?
No. So on that Saturday, I missed everything up to. I missed Overhead the Albatross, and the next, I think it was the band that was supporting Death Heaven was that's wrong. I can't remember who this. Yeah, maybe they were on after Overhead the Albatross, but I missed that many bands. And actually, when I first got there, I was just like, I need to just stop for a second and actually talk to all my friends and be like, this is what happened last night. Anyway, it's not a podcast. It might one day be a podcast story, but it's definitely not a podcast story for now. But 2 hours sleep is a lot. But then I had such a great time. Honestly, I thought you guys absolutely smashed it this year. Brilliant.
What about? I was surprised to see you got there as early as that.
Well,
I didn't think you'd make it that early, but definitely appreciate the commitment. For me, I thought it was an excellent weekend. I am so tired and so sore, just like Gav now. But I think it went really, really well. We'll kind of get into the weeds of it properly as we get through the podcast. But everyone, the bands were excellent, the traders were excellent, the food was excellent, the crowd were phenomenal. Our crew were unreal, just in terms of how well they ran things on the day that me and Gav had very little to do. And I found that really weird, and we'll kind of get into my total lack of sleep and my own anxious thing of just not sleeping for 3 days because I was worrying about shit, but I just didn't need to. They absolutely smashed it, and they all know how important they are to us. But I did want to give a particular shout out, because this is the Two Promoters, One Podcast, to your Jug of Joy recipient, Chris, who came and, as his reward, if you want to call it a reward, wanted to crew for and help out at Damnation. And he smashed it. 3 days on it. First one there in the building on the mornings and stuff like that. One of the last to leave at the end of the day. He really put a shift in. So fair play to him. If any more prize winners want to come and work as hard as Chris, they'll always be fully welcome.
It was ridiculous. It was actually ridiculous. The guy, you think about the amount of people who get paid in this industry to go and do that kind of work, and believe me, it is work. It's not all glamour. It's putting up Harry Spencer and bolting it together and moving the blocks and fucking fetching God knows how many litres of booze and carrying up flights of stairs. It's not all sitting around where all your favourite artists are getting a chance to be side stage. That stuff does happen too, but to get there you have to go through a wall of shit. And he was smashing it alongside the rest of the crew. But the rest of the crew, we expected that from. That's what they do. That's why they are our crew. This guy showed up, and even in the final morning, Monday morning, he was the first guy on site with his own pair of snips to cut off all the Harry's bands. He's like Chris Watts, then a listener of the pod. He picked up from the Jug of Joy. I'm glad you brought that up, Fro, because my demented mind right now, I probably would have forgot. And right to the end, I mean, he said, if you'll have me next year, and I'm like, man, it's not even a choice no matter.
So a question.
You're getting dragged here regardless. You are now part of this team. So, absolutely another very a really heartwarming story. And there was plenty over the weekend with people with any connection to the podcast. Our festivals, all three. I mean, people who had come to us through 2000 Trees even, and then the pod, and then through. I spoke previously about the post-pandemic festival that we had, and never recapturing that type of excitement and buzz. I've been back there, and not to say that this weekend did, but it was as close as you could get to that whole community, family feel vibe with everyone absolutely buzzing off each other, the experience, the decent weather, and the music. And it's hard to, even a few days later, I said to Paul before we started recording, this is tougher and more unusual than the 19 before. Even when we've smashed at the park or we've had real special experiences. I'm just back up the road, and like yesterday we put the blind birds on sale, and we done so to put this in a business context, I'm the sole director of the company that owns Damnation Festival. That company would have taken 200 grand in potential once you pay your first 50 pence, you see that through. 200 grand was made from the second that I woke up at 10 o'clock this morning to now. And my wife's coming back and asking why I don't have all the tools done. My son's at a 4-hour shift at Tesco and shouting he's come through the door. That's the workers back home. I'm like, get filthy fucking tools that some drummers wiped their balls on, and there's like an apple core falling out the middle, and I'm filling my washing machine with like fruit bits, and I'm making 200 grand at the same time. I'm like, what is this? This is the most fucking bipolar experience I've ever had. My office is a combination of my entire house. You guys have been in my house. When you're in my house, that's not how it looks when visitors come. Kelly's like Cinderella. It stays like a showroom, as if we're trying to sell the house all the time. At the minute, it looks somewhere between a laundrette, a signage factory, and a out of stock fucking catering firm. There's nobody you can move in here around me. I've got pics of these fucking unopened tools all around me. I've got fucking cash envelopes that have not been opened. I've got the place is pandemonium. So I'm trying to get my head around it all at the same time. I was sitting last night saying I should be drinking champagne and celebrating the most successful financial day of the damnations I've had. And Kelly's like, why haven't you made dinner? I mean, we're still good children. You need to, I know it's successful and I've got your back, Gavin, but Charlotte needs a packed lunch for school tomorrow. And I'm like, this is all too much. I'm just, aye. And I'm a wee bit of a cloud nine with it all and try to also get back to, and I need to reconnect with real life, which is a bit of a struggle at the moment. But Jesus Christ, it's been fucking something else. What a weekend. It'll live long in the memory.
Yeah, the hard bit is the return to normal life, I think. One thing I did want you guys to talk about in this first section, as well as how the festival went for you, is don't forget that the last episode came out just as Gav was leaving to go and do setup. So how did the setup go? How did that sort of lead into Night of Salvation? I think I arrived at Night of Salvation at the same time as certainly Gav, and it must be. I just thought it must be mad coming from the arena to Night of Salvation, and then also following on from that, how did the day of Packdown go? That must have been horrible.
So this weekend has been a weekend of heroes. So we have Chris, who's obviously we just talked about, but then you have to talk about the hero of the venue. Is a guy named Dave, who made everything. He just appeared. He hasn't been there before. He started working there at some point in the last year, and nothing was too big a job for him. So he made the setup on when myself and Gav got there on Wednesday. Harris fencing arrived an hour after we arrived. The cabins that we used for production arrived around the same time. He was there with a forklift, shifting Harris around, shifting the big blocks he used, the big rubber blocks to hold it all in place. So he was already setting all that stuff out for us. And he was like, I've got a ratchet here. Let me help you start ratcheting them all together so they're all held in place. And it just made everything so much easier. And then we had the rest of the team arrive, turn up, and they started scrimming them and then hanging them up and stuff. And it was a really well organized machine that by the end of Thursday, it felt like tomorrow was the start of festival day. And then on Friday morning, it was like, oh no, we actually have time to play with and everything. There was no panics come Saturday morning, come 11 o'clock and gates. It wasn't like we were still trying to tidy away rubbish and moving kind of spare tools away. It was all done. The site was all ready to go. So it went really well. The build side of it went really well. The weather was dry. I think that makes a huge difference. When it's rainy, everything is just slower. It's not even that the fact you're in mud. It's just shitty being standing around in the rain trying to put up Harris fencing. So the fact that it was a dry week made it so much easier. And I think with everyone now that we're starting to really find our feet in the venue. We know what we need to do. The venue know what we need from them. So everyone's kind of pulling in the same direction. So you don't have to keep retelling people this goes here, that goes there. And it's starting to happen a lot more now that people just know what needs to happen. And that makes things go so much smoother. So the build side of it was really, I found it not very stressful at all. I thought it went really, really well. I don't know what your take on it was, Gav.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo your sentiments, although it's, again, I've said before with this venue, I actually struggle to get this through to Paul a bit. It's like, Paul wants, in the idealistic world, I want that venue are going to listen to everything we say the year round. They don't. They start concentrating in Damnation the Monday before Damnation, because the Monday before that was Sidewinder, the Monday before that was Manchester Adore, the Monday before that it was going to be a big boxing event. So you can never really get their full attention, and there's pros and cons to that. They let us away with a lot that we would never have been allowed away with at Leeds, but sometimes we can ask for trailers at the back to be moved 10,000 times and tell them we absolutely need that space. You show up at the venue, you can almost guarantee the 2 big trailers will be there. So there's a conversation to be had about that. There was I had mapped out where the inside traders were going to go and allocate them all their space. There was a bar built where that space was going to be. That created a few minor headaches. There was some Wi-Fi issues that maybe were a bigger issue going into the Saturday. But I mean, that's your biggest problems for site setup, and not any real health and safety concerns, or, I mean, equipment you need to put the show on not being delivered. I mean, that's, you can live with that. And it was something that I feel like I matured in year 20 finally, and tried to relate to the team as often as possible. It's like, see those gates opening moments that those couple hours around it. When we daft things, the smallest things like where's the earplugs for the bars, why hasn't the Wi-Fi been connected to the outside to the merch tent yet? What are we daft things like that? And you get caught out, and everybody starts to lose their grip on everything, all the good bits. Everyone's hyper focused on some minor issues that we can get ready and dealt with quickly. It does feel like a bit of a shit show, and it does feel a bit like amateur hour, but it passes. It takes 2 hours, and see if it's not that this year, it'll be something that'll be next year about a van being parked where it's not supposed to be, or a power cut that was never, and you get through it. And I think that for what I understand now, for 20 years doing this, and another 20 years doing it, year 40, we're probably still with gates open and feel like, shit, we should have had one more thing that we never caught or never identified. Last year it was the pass sheets. Something as stupid as pass sheets. The venue's opening and the security guys don't have pass sheets beside them that say which ones are AAA. I mean, that's something you can solve in 15 minutes, but it should have been done. I took a note of it last year, we solved it this year, and then this year it was Wi-Fi. And I felt at the time we're kind of getting in each other's backs a wee bit here because we think that more shit should have been done. But I think for the rest of the time, and you can say, James, maybe both of your festivals open and absolutely everything's always in place. But for us, I think there'll always be that one wee thing that slips through the net, because in sometimes you just don't have the control of it. But realise that at the time, get in control of it, and then the plan will fall back into place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many moving parts. You got to roll with them. I was just watching you. I mean, I saw you both a fair bit on Friday, and I just couldn't help thinking that it's a mad thing to be at a different place. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that you had the big thing going on elsewhere, like you were, I don't know, 95% ready for, and then the smaller thing was happening now, and how that would feel. How did that feel?
It was a bizarre one because all three of us were there. It was like me, Angela was renting the show and I'd left earlier in the day, and then Paul and I showed up essentially as fans. I mean, we weren't playing it. I mean, I was the promoter for that particular show, but I wasn't doing anything other than drinking me used to at the side of the stage and then ultimately jumping off the stage. So I was there. It was honestly by Friday. It was a weird one on Friday because we got to the stage, there wasn't really a great much for Paul and I are not going to go on the stage and start messing about with drum kits and fucking bass guitars, whatever. We are not going to be building the bars. We're not involved with the food traders. So once we've kind of get the dress rooms to as far as they're going to go, and there's no artists on site, and there's only so much Paul and I can actually do without just fretting, without just sitting there and finding extra problems. So my brother at what time would that have been, Paul? About 5 o'clock, he says to me, I really need a haircut. I am not going to. I've never had my hair this wild in my life. Right? It's round the corner. There's a barber's. Get a haircut. And I was sitting there, but at that point, I'd been 50 minutes doing anything, staring into space, waiting to go to the next event. He says, "Fuck it, I'll drive you down there. The both of us will get a haircut." That turned into the most ridiculous. Because I didn't even really want my haircut. I wasn't bothered. I just thought I'll go with you, get me to that site for 10 minutes, and we end up driving all over Manchester, fucking end up 2 different barbers. Then went in, the guy sat with the clippers against the side of my head for like 15 minutes, just rubbing plastic into the side of my skull with no hair coming off. And I was like, mate, what are you doing? What's happening? And then Phone's having a fucking hairy canary because he wasn't listening to my instructions about where we were using the tables. Said we had no tables for this fucking seating area. So I'm phoning Manchester, like higher requirements, going, I need an emergency 50 tables now. My team's in London. And then I was like, why am I getting my hair cut? This is like such a fucking... This is such a ridiculous fucking comical problem to have at this point. And fortunately, once I get back in sight and people did start listening to what I was saying, the whole seating area was fine and we did have enough tables. But aye, that night got a wee bit hairy for no reason.
That is incredible. I don't think I knew that.
Nice pun, by the way.
Yeah.
How vain is that, though, to go and get your hair cut?
Fuck all with you, vanity. Fuck all with you. Get away from your misery. You tell us for your side of that story then, Paul. How did it feel to get away from the venue for the day?
It was good to get away from it, but at the same time, it was that kind of odd thing of kind of just stepping away and then just kind of going, okay, time to switch off and just be a fan and go to Salvation and just have a good night. There were a few little bits that came up later in the evening. We'll probably come on to those when we talk about kind of the bigger things that happened. But by and large, it was just nice to actually properly try to switch off for a couple of hours and just enjoy some excellent music on the Friday night. It's how how Salvation has always kind of been before, like for the years it was running when I was running Salvation, it was always a small show separate to Damnation, just for people who happened to be in the city the night before or whatever. And then once we kind of brought it into the venue and it became a bigger thing, it actually just became more of a headache than a joy to run. It became just losing money, and essentially Damnation was just kind of propping it up, because you're essentially putting on an arena show with a third of the crowd size. So having it gone back to just being the Bread Shed, 450 people, 4 bands, a bit of a riot for everyone to cut loose the night before, was I think I felt much more relaxed. I certainly was able to enjoy it more than I would have if we had all been up in the Beck Arena and we were trying to run it out of there. I think I would have hated it. I wouldn't have got to see the bands. I would have been running around, and yeah, I think I enjoyed going down there. It was definitely a good evening on the Friday night.
Although in hindsight, probably a massive mistake as well, because I mean, anywhere you get your full of the beans, we do that at Tangent, we do it Trees, do it fucking Download, even if I'm not involved. The night before, you get together with your mates. No one's saying, look, let's just take it easy, or you're saying let's just take it easy and then not doing it anyway. So there's no. I mean, the fact that I managed to escape James Scarlett and get a taxi before 12 was my greatest achievement in that entire weekend, because he definitely had the eyes of a man that was taking me to Satan's Hollow, and I was not going to Satan's Hollow.
It was heavily discussed, but luckily I went to A&E instead. But yeah, it was. I thought you were quite sensible actually, Gav, on Friday. You seemed to be just saving yourself to go one bigger the next day.
You thought just the one stage dive was enough, did you?
That was incredible. I loved it. Absolutely brilliant.
So the way that James has set this one up, we will get through Night of Salvation. We'll go chronologically after the first point, which is you asked the Damnation Forum to hit us with some questions, the most pressing concerns, complaints, praise, whatever they wanted. So let's do them first. These are the heroes that came to the weekend and made it what it was. So you want to kick us off, James?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Pavel Kondov, we always start with Fact of the Week, so we have to start with Fact of the Week. So he's asked for some merch stats. I think after this, Paul's also got his own Fact of the Week, which is nice.
Okay, this is the first time first time I've ever actually got some like digital. Usually it's about a pen and paper. Now, my cat and Mola, who were out doing the merch this year, done an incredible job, and we have got some stats. Now, these are the stats I have for the bands that we sold for. Well, now, if anyone hasn't listened to the Great Merch Debate and wants to know all about these merch insides and outsides, costs involved, you can go back and do that. But we give every band the opportunity to come, sell all their merch on a table that we provide, in a tent that we pay for, with power that we pay for free. No payment whatsoever. Or you can give us all your merch and we'll set it up for you and sell it for you and hire in a seller for you, and you pay us 20%. The amount of bands that take the latter would surprise you. I think it was this year, it was like 24. It was like half the bill and wanted us to sell it for us. So we did that. Mac and Mo are hired in the sellers and they went to town. The biggest, I don't think it was a single band who sold less than $1,000 worth of merch. And that includes like Hidden Mothers and Dinner Celestial Birds, like the opening bands, who were delighted with the money they made over the weekend. The band who smashed it though were Wormrot. I won't say how much they took, but they made more money in the merch tent than they did for their fee, and their fee was for Damnation was substantially higher than it was anywhere else in the UK. So that was a lovely wee day, I'm sure, for Wormrot. We won't even get into the size of the fucking crowd in the show that they had. So that was that. I have like one funny aside. Brady from Conjurer, who was having the most lovely time at Damnation after they played, he showed up later on at night and he goes, "Look at that, Gav." And there was a number at the bottom of the screen which was biblical. And he went, "That's the merch sales today." And I went, "Fucking class, have we been selling?" He went, "No." So instead of getting my fat chunk from Conjurer's merch sales, I got a lovely vinyl and a t-shirt, which I appreciate too, Brady, so thank you for that.
He did say to me he doesn't drink, but he's getting drunk tonight. So I guess that was the reason, the celebration.
Yeah, I mean, he was drunk. I mean, I don't think there's anyone, although Wormrot topped the table for who we sold for, And I don't think any one of the bands would have topped Amon Raz. Amon Raz table was in fire from the second that they set up the merch, and they had such big stock that
Yeah.
I'm sure they done a shit ton. And I don't think anyone in the merch tent at all would done better than what Damnation would have done. Both sides, Damnation Clothing and Damnation the Festival. I didn't even get to see the grey t-shirt with a shaman with a fucking lamb with a heart getting ripped out of the Jim Bob. I didn't get see that. I didn't get a black Jim Bob one. I didn't get a hoodie. I didn't get a pullover. None of the crew or staff got anything. I don't believe. By the time I went up, if I wanted a hoodie, I could have got a double XL. That's what was left. By the Saturday, we were selling old festival merch, which I've never even seen before. Like, going up to get your 2025 lineup and somebody going, oh, you can have a 2023 one, mate, if you want, for a tenner. And that's all that was left. And I think that Tom and this unbelievable Branca Studio stuff, but that merch drop done terrific as well. I don't have any of the final figures or numbers back for them, but considering so many sizes and options were sold out, I am assuming it was fucking fantastic.
Good work. Good work. It was I thought the Branca stuff was amazing. And I managed to come away with none of it. So that's fucking annoying. But next time when you do a reprint, I'll be in. Paul, talk us give us your stat. Come on, let's hear your stat.
What? So I was trying to keep track of how much I was moving around the site and that kind of thing for the 2 days that we were there. So on the Saturday, I covered 11 miles of total walking around that site, which I've worked out is the equivalent of walking back and forth from the front to the very back of the main arena 270 times. So that's my useless stat for the Saturday. I was clearly either more relaxed or just too tired on the Sunday. So I only covered 8.9 miles of walking on the Sunday. Well, that's still 20 miles of walking around that venue, which feels a tad excessive.
Yeah, I mean, and don't forget, Paul, the amount of times it's up and down those stairs. I mean, see, by the time you get to the bottom of those stairs, going up to the canteen and the restrooms area, and one more time, like, I've never hated 2 flights of stairs so much in my entire life. There must be an escalator in this building, but I mean, you put in the steps, that's for sure.
Good work, mate.
Yeah.
Okay. Christoph Erson says, do you have any immediate improvements you would implement for next year with the feedback you've already received straight after the festival? Might be too soon. You might. I mean, I know you haven't really stopped yet.
Yeah, I mean, I try to think of these stuff even in motion when we're there. I mean, 2 things. I mean, this is how well the event seems to have run and how positive the feedback is. Zip tying the chairs together that we made that wee cinema, the sort of style section, again with the help of Dave from the venue. Now, I don't know if I can convey just how obsessed I was with getting extra seating into that venue. I mean, even Paul couldn't envisage what I was trying to do, and he was going, we need extra seating this, and I'm going, I'm trying, I'm going, but he goes, what do you mean you're just going to line the walls with extra seats? Like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put fucking seats in anywhere there's a space. I'm going to put a seat in it, and hopefully people, I mean, not everyone, 6,000 folks all going to get a seat, but they're going to see you've done everything you can without making that a seated fucking show. And I feel like that's what was accomplished. I think as the drinks started hitting in and people wanted to be a bit closer to their pals or see the stage better, some of those seats started moving a wee bit dangerously into the middle of the room, which is not the intention at all.
Oh, you didn't get the chair wankers, did you? Fucking hell.
I mean, but the thing is, walking into the back of some camp chairs, but these things are solid metal. I mean, with the padded cushions and all. That's the last thing you need, getting into the middle of a fucking Anunnaki pit. So at the start, I spoke with Dave and I was like, well, we zip tying them. He goes, no, I do that for the boxing crowds and that, but your crowd won't do it. Like, more of that, it's going to get moved a bit. Like, some of the boxing crowds will pick them up and throw them at each other. And they said, the Damnation crowd's not going to do that. And I said, no, you're totally right with that. But just, I don't want to get in a situation that all becomes, it's just a clusterfuck of chairs. You want to have some sort of people can get through and sit, and else it becomes a bit useless. But it stayed, he kept on top of it, but I think by the time your Napalm Deaths and Corrosion of Conformity, there was a wee bit, it wasn't quite the cinematic experience that we were aiming for. And what people might not realise is there was seats by the time you go into the main stage, you go into the far away right corner. There were seats that were never intended for you to be able to see the band. Of course, if you sit at the furthest end of the Mojo barrier with your seat against the Mojo barrier, you can't see anything. That was purely rest and recovery. Just go there and sit down and take a break between the bands. I think some of the people are like, well, let's just move my seat across to the other side of the venue where I can see the band. So I had a wee bit of clarity with that. And one of those things you live and you learn, but I'm very chuffed with how that panned out. And maybe the closing time on Sunday. I mean, I don't think there's anyone on this podcast who savoured the fact that you looked at your watch and went, how can there still be like Vigdud and Napalm Death to go? Because I am now ready to cry and die. So maybe
Although,
the Sunday,
the last time I saw you, we were outside waiting for a taxi, and we were in the planning of whether we went on. What time did it close? Was it 2 we got kicked out, or 1? 2.
We got kicked out at 2, yeah.
Yeah, and we were close, I think. I don't know if you went on, but I went for best.
It was a tipping point to it, yeah.
Aye, so that's the two minor things. I mean, we'll talk, and we've not had our debrief yet. We've not sat down with Anja and Marios and Callum and the crew and the merch people. I mean, there's so much of this year's Damnation that's just not been discussed yet. But the two immediate things that right away, like from the what I could see at the time and the feedback from the fans on the forum, is the zip tying chairs together and trying to sort out an earlier closing time on this Sunday. It'll be ourselves, Paul.
Before you go on, Paul,
yeah.
Just on that note, Gav, so a lot of people have asked, and there was a question in a minute from Will Southwell Wright about, would you consider, so you're talking about the closing time on the Sunday, would you consider doing what some European festivals do, where the headliners run slightly earlier and there are 1 to 2 smaller bands on after? So maybe you flip the stages so that 2 and 3 are on afterwards. Is that of interest?
Yeah, possibly. My initial concern when this was ever thought about, we discussed it before, is you need your strongest, highest pulling, biggest band at the end of the day to keep the fans in the arena. That's the point. That's why they're a headliner. That's why these bands are at the top of the bill, because they demand the biggest attraction. When they go and play in another city, they bring more fans to that city than anyone else in the bill. So I was thinking, that's why they're at the top of the bill. But there's no doubt. I mean, Conjurer definitely played to twice as many fans as Corrosion of Conformity. There's just no doubt about that. And even Converge, as popular as they were, did not play to as many fans as Pig Destroyer or At the Gates. The people do well. People do need to get trams. People just don't have that same level of endurance as some fans. So you need to recognise that. You can't just say, because the Hellfest goes to 2:30 in the morning and starts at 10, then we should be able to do it. You just need to adjust what happens to your audience. Possibly. The one thing we wouldn't do that people keep suggesting is put the headliner on earlier and then put a band on after them on the same stage. So put a band on that's got less attraction and apparently on, like, switch that, make Pig Destroyer the last band and then put Napalm Death on before them. I think you still get the same problem. I think Napalm Death just got a bigger crowd and then Pig Destroyer get a less crowd in. So the only way that I'm now looking at it, even in the last 12 hours, is possibly when when it's that busy and those two small stages don't need the same level of crowds to make them feel full, you could have Napalm Death play the 10 to 11 slot, and then you could have like Vigdud and Warning play the 11 to 12 slot as a possibility.
Yeah, my attitude as a sort of festival goer, which is what I was this weekend really, is that if you're at an outdoor festival, there's probably opportunities to just go and sit at your tent and have like 2 hours of just like, I'm going to miss some bands in the middle of the day. Whereas at a Damnation style festival, you don't do that. So everyone the crowd sizes, just to be clear, were massive all day. 99% of bands. And it is just right at the end. And me as a festival goer, I was well excited for Corrosion of Conformity, but I had run out of steam big style by the time they were on. At one point, one of my friends came through Gav's balcony area, and I was sat on the couch during their set. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? They're on stage. And I was just like, I just peaked. I peaked. I'll be back out for the end.
I've got nothing left.
Yeah. I was supposed to be down the front with a 2-pinter, but I'm fucking sat on the couch. So yeah. Just the way it goes.
That's true. Right, Paul, I'll let you finish off any more immediate improvements we'd make before we move on to John Hawkins.
No, the one thing I had noted down the thing about tying the chairs, because actually I don't know if either of you seen it. I definitely saw one person, because they're like they're like the fold up metal chairs. I definitely saw one person fold one up, take it under their arms, and walk it into Arena 2, set it up for themselves in Arena 2. Because there was the one stage, apart from the accessibility platform, that we hadn't put any extra seating into. So they were just like taking their own initiative. Well, this is my chair for, I can't remember which band they were going in to watch, but yeah, I just saw someone carrying it across and setting themselves up in Arena 2. So maybe making sure we cable tie them together next year might be a smart suggestion.
If there was any fucking arena where you would not put a shared section in, it's Arena 2, man, because that stuff is definitely getting chucked by some fucking psychotic stamping ground fan. So, and if you think that there was a mistake that we never put like chairs that you could pick up in Arena 2, it wasn't, believe us.
You don't trust the black metal fans. Anything else, Paul, or should we move on to the next question?
No, nothing else for me on that.
Okay, John Hawkins asks, so this is kind of a follow-on, but if budget played no part, what thing would you add to Damnation? Not a band, but something to improve the festival overall. Any mad ideas or anything you'd do if money was no option?
The one that immediately came to, well, I suppose it depends on how ridiculous you want to get. Like if we're talking about building extensions onto the building, you could go wild, but something that's actually realistic, probably putting a massive stretch tent over the whole of the car park. That whole area would be the one I would probably go with, covering all the, so there's November, it's always going to be cold. You can't do much with that, but people wear extra layers. But to avoid the rain, if you put a massive stretch tent, so when people are standing outside having a cigarette or they're sitting there trying to eat their salt and pepper chips or whatever it is, that whole section is covered, as well as like the merch tent and those things. I would probably do that, just to then really kind of seal it off. But that's quite a difficult thing to do.
Have you had it? Because I wasn't there 2 years ago. Have you had a year of bad weather since you've been in Manchester?
Yes,
because it was okay last
a couple
year,
of years
and it was
ago.
Good this year, I thought.
Yeah, no, it was. But the problem you sometimes get, if it gets really wet and people are starting walking in the kind of rainwater off their shoes, the floor in that arena can get a little bit slippery and slick. And so we definitely had the Beck Arena's cleaning crew out in between bands, kind of mopping up and drying up the flooring, because it can get a little bit slick. So just to avoid that complication, that's what I would do. Logistically, because all the caterers arrive either kind of Friday night or Saturday morning, even before doors, it'd be very difficult to then get them into position if there was already a stretch tent already set up over that space. So the logistics of it would make it quite difficult. But if there was no budget and we could kind of get everyone in 2 days early, have all the traders set up from the Wednesday even, and just leaving the traders all sitting there, and then you'd have Thursday, Friday to build the stretch tent over that space, then you could do it. But that would require, that's where we get into that budget having no issue, because you're kind of essentially going to have to subsidize the traders to leave their van sitting there for those extra couple of days. So that was the one that kind of came to mind for me. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean that's a more ambitious, because I mean they tents. I mean look at the tents that are out there. I mean that's $7,000 worth of tents. You can see that we are putting in by choice. They don't come on a venue. I make a decision to pay that $7,000 to make sure people get a seat under some cover, and the merch tent can be in there. I mean a stretch tent the size of that fucking thing would probably cost you $200,000. So as Paul says, it would have to be without any budget. I've looked at both these things that I would like to see. I'd love flooring in the merch tent and flooring in the seating, because the car park's car park and it's uneven and it's a bit shitty and there's divots in it, and it'd be nice to be able to step in that. I mean flooring and then like float like carpeted and go in and feel nice, like a lovely merch tent would be amazing. I get quoted £1,500 last year for just the merch tent. I think that was without the seating. So then again, you're adding it. You wanted to add the seating, now you're up to $10,000 to get that now. And you're just, at some point, you need to be a bit like, this is, ideally I do want that. And maybe we will, all these wee bits we keep. I mean, the fans keep coming in numbers. These are the wee changes that you will see. But that's one thing. And I mean, I wanted an entrance archway, like Hellfest. I was quoted $15,000 for it. And I was like, look, they can just come through the gazebo like everybody else. And we'll get some. We got the ped barriers, you know, the ones that said the different bits. This is the bar. They look quite smart. And it said, well, I'm just putting a bit of fucking A4 with cable ties. But that came as a substitute to the £15,000 archway that we went. I mean, they would have had the 3 points of access to come through. It's like, Jesus, what the, no of that. I need to take it back down and then store it for a year to build it back for next year's Damnation. So those are two things that I would have done differently if it wasn't for a budget.
Good. Okay. Well, following on from that, Dean Vipond says it's not a criticism, but he noted the lack of pyro on the main stage this year. Was there a reason for this?
Great question, Dean. Great. There was pyro on. There's pyro coming to Damnation pretty much till the Tuesday or the Wednesday. It's like that conversation never ended, and there was always going to be pyro there on a Sunday, because when we set up the deal with Onslaught to do Power from Hell, that was what we wanted. It's what they wanted. Then their circumstances changed a bit financially, and then there was no other bands that excited about. They were like Napalm Death weren't going to use pyro. Ammon Ra were certainly not going to use pyro. Pig Destroyer didn't want to use pyro. So Primordial weren't going to use pyro. So you're starting to get like a stage that this is starting to get very, very pricey for one band. And the quote ended up coming through, best part of $4,000 to put some flame on for one band. We'd have let Conjurer, who were interested in using it, but we were still paying for that. And it just got to the point of I was still 50-50 right to the end, because at the point the $4,000 wasn't even about doing it for one band. It was, I hate taking a step back. We went with Damnation. No point of what we're doing is to continually keep making it better. The screens are bigger, the sound's better, the caterers are better, the food's better, the merch is better. Pyro was there last year, and I wanted Pyro to be there again this year, even if it was only for a handful of bands. But again, it comes down to like, is this just a vanity project, or is it a business? I mean, are you doing this just to pat your own ego and everyone tell you that, oh, you get some flames there? Are you doing this because you're trying to run a successful business? And ultimately, business sends one out in the end of the day. It was like, it was just too much to pay. If it'd been $2,000, I'd have done it. $4,000, it was just like, it was too much for one band to come out and get some flames. And that's the truth. I hope next year we manage to get it. If we can get it, it's one of those, we had the last discussion about the budget, so the 1 day to 2 day. That was like the most expensive version of what you could get pyro in for. I guarantee if you had it at a Night of Salvation, the Saturday and then the Sunday, you probably get the whole thing for $5,000. Yeah, here I'm going to pay $4,000 for one band to use it. So, Dean, I want pyro back next year, but we need the bands we're working with to want to use it.
Well, I would like to see some pyro in the bread shed, definitely. Andrew Goodbury says, did this year's Night of Salvation make financial sense? And do you have any plans to change it for next year, e.g. a bigger venue?
Yeah, I mean that's another one for me, as I'm the one that's involved with the Night of Salvation. The history of the Night of Salvation was Paul's little baby when he had, and I left him to it, and he always like, it was just the easiest money ever made. Like he picked, him and Paul Priest picked four or five local bands and sold a couple hundred tickets in a few minutes to whatever venue in Leeds, and I broke his heart when I told him I was taking it in under the proper banner of Damnation for 2021. So we had a few years, didn't we? We had the ones in the arena, as Paul says earlier. They were mistakes, a strong word, because we had fun at them, but again, they were not financially viable. They weren't what they were supposed to be. It grew into some, rather than just doing 2 days of Damnation, which has probably made more sense then, we were doing a Damnation in a sort of like lesser product, attracting a third of the fans by still using the same size of a venue and production. And this is what backed. I mean, Breadshed, is it too small? I mean, we knew we sold in 2021, we sold 600 tickets blind to that first Night of Salvation. We'd done similar. We knew we would sell out the Night of Salvation instantly. We knew we could probably go to 1,000 cap arena, a venue, and sell out. But then it's a bit like, what are you doing? You're moving it at the back to try and go somewhere else. It's not big. And then once you do that, the pressure on you as a promoter and ours and our reputation is, you need to go and get Pig Destroyer doing Terrifier and Nathrak coming and doing Endarkment, and the pressure's on the lineup again, which again, something I didn't want. One to go back to the fact that if you want to come to Manchester and you want to have a fucking great night out with us, cause a bit of chaos, then do this back and go and book 4 bands with no egos that will happily share one dressing room and have no backdrop and just come and do it for what it is. Then this is probably where it suits, before you start getting into bands showing up with demands that the Breadshed's just not going to be able to accommodate. And it was fucking class. I mean, it was the busiest fucking room, busiest room I've ever been in my life. I showed up at Breadshed. with 50 of the posters, because by that point when I showed up, I wanted to be like, right, this is what you're getting for the night. It wasn't like to be a secret for the rest of the time. By the time I get in, you couldn't move. I couldn't get close to a bar, the wall, anything. And I was like, right, okay, I'll give a few away and take some up the road. And that was that. And I had a great time. And is it financially viable? Could I make an extra 20 grand by doing it elsewhere and making the tickets? I mean, the tickets could have been £50, £60, and they would have sold out in 16 minutes, and we made them 30 or 35. I could make a shit ton more of it, but I fucking enjoyed it for it was, and it let us get out there on the Friday night without the added drama that you would get with, I don't like having Enslaved and Leprous and Catatonia and all these bands that with huge big demands because they deserve them in an arena. So I don't know. What do you two think? At the minute in my head, I'm like, fucking Breadshed for next year. Let's go again.
You go, Paul.
I think so. I think that's the right venue. And whether it's the Breadshed or certainly a similar size, I think that's the right pitching point for it. I think it's what it should be. It's a chance for people just to get together for the Friday night, because you make it a bigger thing, then you need to make it a bigger thing, then you have to kind of upsell it and have the bands to fit it and stuff like that. And that's not what it's about. Then it just is creating an extra stress, and then you get the questions like the bands or, oh, is this the start of Damnation becoming a 3-day event and whatever else? And it by having it so much smaller by comparison to the main thing, it stops that connection being made. So I think it's the right way to go, to have a 500, 600 cap venue and kind of 4 bands of a variety of mix of styles or whatever, and just kind of keeping it simple as an opportunity for folks to properly catch up with friends, to go in. I think I cut bits of bands, then I'd spend the rest of the time out in the main bars, chatting to James and stuff out there for a bit. It was just an opportunity just to catch up with people before the weekend really takes hold. And then for a lot of our fans, it is about going from band to band to band to band. So just use it for an opportunity for folk to socialize a little bit more. So yeah, for me, that's the right size for it to stay up.
And one point that I made very clear to Breadshed yesterday, because the deal was based on income coming through the bar as well. It's like, so the fee for the Breadshed reduced for every however much money they made. I was like, I want the front bar included. And anyway, don't for a second tell me that what you took at the back bar, because I walked through that front bar and there was 90% Damnation fans, mate. It was it gave people an opportunity who never had a ticket, because a lot of people just couldn't get a ticket to get in. But that bar being adjoining allowed another about 200-300 people just to come down and get drunk with their pals and be like, hey, okay, I would love to get through and see the bands, but I never managed that. But here I'm still part of the experience.
But it was also a nice place to chill out if you didn't mind missing a band, or you'd watched half and you wanted to go and grab a beer. I thought it was perfect out there. You too, because you were stressed, you may not remember that there was one person that was forgotten on the guest list at Night of Salvation. And that I turned up. What do you mean there were?
No, was it? There's just your lack of understanding of the fucking. You just thought the ticket for Damnation. You went the full Damnation as a 3-day event and just assumed rather than getting that sorted. So you showed up and then exactly, James. You and your team, our fair team, are the only stress that Paul and I had at the Night of Salvation.
I rang Paul. I rang Paul instead of you, but then you turned up. And eventually I had you, Paul and Angela out there. It was great. I'd managed to get the entire organising team just trying to get me in the room. And the person on the door was like, so how many of you are there? I was like, 13.
I mean, it was such a... so I spoke to John at the venue yesterday. He's like, oh, just like anything else you can get booked in. Because we're back there for Two Promoters One Pod, obviously, which is about to sell it itself. So it's a bit like... I spoke with the owners, we only took this over however many months ago, and they've had capacity shows in before, but they've never had a capacity show that was capacity 3 minutes after doors until close. Usually capacity shows work the way that they always do. A few people, or half the audience misses support bands, they show up by the time, and then you also get a drop-off in tickets at every event in the world, including Damnation. There was zero drop-off with Night of Salvation, because the resale option and schedule, your ticket get picked up instantly. So it was like an Oasis gig and fucking in the Breadshed. Everybody was going to take your ticket. There was no, unless you just want to lose your money and you just decide you didn't want to get your 35 quid back, then you got your 35 quid back, because people were waiting up to and at the venue itself to take your ticket off you. So it was the full house, and it stayed the full house through the whole fucking night, which was class as well.
Absolutely. So last question on Salvation was from Adam Phillip, who wants to know, will you be keeping the band list secret again next year? Or did you get sick of the endless speculation from silly sods like himself?
I think it's fun. My take on it, I think it's a bit of fun. If you make it, oh, who am I going to pay? What am I paying? You pay your money, you take your chance. Like, and I think it works. It worked quite well. I think the speculation is always, it's going to be silly, but that's just the nature of fans like that, and that happens even at Damnation, when you kind of lose a mid-level band. People are like, oh, do you think they'll get Sleep in to replace them? And you're just like, no, clearly, of course not. But you're going to get that kind of that odd level of people going, oh, maybe they've got in they've flown in the Haunted to do a special album set or whatever else. Like, well, no, look at the pricing on it, look at the venue size, and kind of pitch it realistically, and that's kind of going to be what you get. But the speculation is a bit fun, and kind of people trying to breadcrumb it together, and oh, this band has a missing date on their thing. They've got a date on the Thursday, and then they're playing Damnation on the Saturday. Oh, maybe that's them. I think that's all part of the fun of it as well.
I'm split. I'm willing to go with whatever the feeling is. Obviously, you only hear for the people. No one's going really saying, "Oh, this is the greatest thing that ever happened." I love not knowing, but you do hear for the ones who go, "Oh, I really don't like this. I don't like the fact that I'm going to a venue." And I feel like if you did listen to the pod, then you knew. I feel like by the last episode, I was explicitly telling you that you already knew about Dead Guy. It was Conjurer doing Maya. It was Raging Speedhorn doing the first two sets. And you don't know the last band, but it's somebody that we've reformed. So if you couldn't guess Stamp, you couldn't guess. But I told you the other three because I was getting to the point that if you want to know, I'm telling you, I was saying, I mean, like somebody said it'd be amazing if it was Conjurer or doing Maya on the forum, and I said that would be unbelievable. The only reason I would post that is because, like, and then he took that, telling everybody else. Gavin said it's not in because he said that would be unbelievable. And I said that's a different interpretation of the word unbelievable. It's like it would be a cracking set. So, but I actually bumped into that guy at Night of Salvation. It originally, as I've repeated before, it was set up that way to have your diehards get in and not have a super fan of a single band who doesn't give a shit about Damnation taking a ticket from a fan who's been to 10 Damnations and wants to be at Salvation. That's how it started. It's probably never really meant to be all the way to doors, but then it became its own thing, and I was a bit like, well, once people knew about Dead Guy because they'd leaked it, I thought, well, you know what you're getting with your money's worth. A lot of people would pay 30 quid to go and see a Dead Guy set. But like I knew that it was going to be, and you're never going to say, "Oh, I don't like Conjurer, Raging Speedhorn, or Stamping Ground." If you're a regular Damnation fan, it's just that's our bread and butter. So I don't have any strong opinions. I think it'll still get announced blind and still a sellout blind after that. Possibly we'll just announce the bands then if that's what the people want. Like yourself, James, if that's what you want, mate, we'll just do it for you.
I mean, the weird thing is, obviously, me and Paul both knew what the lineup was, so it's hard to put yourself really in the head of an actual punter. But I think doing it blind is great until such time as you've sold out, and then nice to know who the bands are. So, but on that note, so Daniel Singleton wants to know, if Night of Salvation was like the Wednesday at Trees in ATG and it was repeats, which 4 bands from this year would you bring back? Now, let's just keep our answers short here because we're going to go into the bands in more detail in a minute. Paul, which 4 bands would you bring back?
After all the chat about keeping your options realistic and kind of pitch it at the right price point, I don't think I absolutely have. So I've literally picked the 4 bands that I walked through and really wanted to have watched more of, but was busy running off to deal with something else. So I went with Author and Punisher because it just sounded insane. EF or F and Wormrot because I caught a little bit of both and actually wanted to watch all of both of their sets, so would take both of those. And then Mantar, who I missed completely but was absolutely desperate to see because I'm a huge Mantar fan. So they'd be the 4 I'd be taking for my imaginary Night of Salvation based on this year's lineup.
Nice lineup.
And to be fair, I took the same freedom where I wasn't thinking about, oh, it had to be in Breadshed. I just went with the rules being I had to be a repeat band for this year. So none of the 4 bands that I already had at Night of Salvation this year, because I probably would pick some of them, and not Dim Skewer and Overhead Albatross because we're already getting that treat at Art Tangent next year. So I went with 2 bands that I did see and would love back, and 2 bands I didn't. The 2 bands I did see and would love back for A Night of Salvation, Amun Ra, and Devil's Oldie Soul. Both sets were just 10 out of 10s. Fucking, I love them. We can talk about them a bit later. And 2 sets I never saw anything of, and I'm heartbroken about, Wormrot and Vigdud. I never caught a single second of either of those, and all I've heard is fucking amazing things, and I'd love to see that myself. So they're the 4 that I'll go with. You'll be your James, you can play the game too. Oh, you're silent. You switch yourself off?
So I was having a little
Back.
cough. I was having a little cough
Yeah,
there, mate.
yeah.
The post-damnation flu. I chose 4 bands that were basically my favourite 4 of the weekend, and it's a bit on brand for me. I wish I was being like, oh yeah, I really like this nihilistic black metal band that I saw in stage 2.
Can I try and pick your 4?
Yeah, go on then.
So I'm going to go Psychonaut,
Yep.
Coil Guns.
Yeah.
I would say Coil ones, yeah.
I don't have the lineup in front of me. Yeah, throw what would the other 2
Amun
be?
Ra.
No.
Amun Ra potentially. No, okay. Definitely Psychonaut Coil ones. Knew with those 2.
Yeah, you've done well there to get 2.
Right,
The other
who's
ones
out
were
there?
Conjurer, who have already done Night of Salvation, and Perturbator. That was my 4 favourites. I mean, just...
okay, James, we'll fire Perturbator in their stadium production into our pre-show.
that would be good. I want to see it. Could you imagine it?
Okay,
Oh.
right, before we get back, Fro, your fucking internet connection's dog shit, man. Go and slap your router. Before we get into what we're doing for our weekend, the weekend it was, shout out to our good friends I Saw Merch who were there for the weekend. I heard from Ali earlier today or last night, and it just said looking forward to 2026, which it sounds like he's back in and going to go again. He must have had a cracking weekend. It seemed like he still was busy for the whole time. I hope you all picked up a bunch of bargains from those guys. They have been with us longest standing sponsor, and hopefully not going anywhere. It's been a wild couple of days. Maybe we'll get into some of this later as well, but a wild couple of days with people, the interest in Damnation. I've got big agents I've never really dealt with before ask me to go for coffee in London, and I've got companies asking me if any of the sponsors drop it, can they take over one of the stages, and or that good shit that's happening because Damnation's just I don't know if it's punching through to like a different audience now with the sort of size and scale of it. So absolutely loving it. ISO have been with us from the very start and will not be getting ousted for anyone. Go check out their site. Everything I've said. If this is the first to promote pod you've well done because you're just coming here for the Damnation review, they have the most spectacular range of merch for like under 20 quid, and you can use a pod discount, which is pod 10 at the checkout, and get another 10% off. So you can end up getting your fucking Amun Ra t-shirt or Coil Guns t-shirt or whatever they've got in there for less than 20 quid delivered, which is brilliant. Go and support the guys. They deserve it. They are fucking woven into the fabric of the industry now. I mean, especially they're at Art Tangent, they're at Trees, they're at fucking Damnation. They're going to everything and trying to really expand in what they're doing in the UK scene. So support them because they support us, and we need that kind of support for all this to work. So pod 10, get yourself some merch. And we're back. Now listen, you two have fucking really picked up my spirits. I feel like I'm ready to go for an all day of Damnation. This has cheered me up no end, to the point that I went and poured myself a wee Jack Daniels and Coke from one of the 4 bottles that were gifted to me from fans at Damnation. I get personalised fucking gifts. I got some nice wine. I mean, honestly, there's a wee gift bag at the front. I will thank you all personally when I get through and see what's what. But this one is for you legends and everyone else who came to it. And you too. I had a school run to pick up my daughter, but she phoned, the school phone said she was ill. So I had to pick her up and take her to Kelly's salon today. So I've got no school run, so I'm going to enjoy this one while we chat through the rest of Damnation.
Just the sight of alcohol makes me want to cry, to be honest. So you enjoy it, mate.
I can't think of anything worse. Yeah, you have it.
You're like, oh, make me feel sick. Right, so we'll go chronologically from the Friday. James, your best. We've done a wee bit of Night of Salvation stuff. You show up. Tell us how it was for you as a fan, and then we will tell you how it was for us as the folk put on.
I mean, I thought Night of Salvation, electric atmosphere. The room was rammed. When I got there, Dead Guy just started and you can hardly get in. That like Dead Guy, Raging Speed on the Stamping Ground are not actually bands that I would listen to at home, but they were all fucking packed. There's pits for all of them. Obviously, you crowd surf and sing into Stamping. When you crowd surfed, it was brilliant moment. Everyone was loving it. The band were loving it. You came off stage and you tried to get away then, and you got, what I mean is you crowd surfed, you stage dived into the crowd, you crowd surfed around, you came back onto the stage and you tried to leave, and the singer grabbed you. And then it fucking ends with you singing Officer Down. Brilliant, absolutely fucking brilliant moment. All promoters should be doing that, I think. I mean, not me, but my highlight of the day was Conjurer by a mile. I love that Maya album. Thought it was brilliant. And my other highlight was that Tom Begley actually enjoys music sometimes. He was fucking loving, particularly Stamping Ground, I think. No, Speedhorn and Stamping Ground. So
Speedhorn's getting back with him, yeah.
And Conjurer, I think. So it was nice to see him playing his air guitar. I didn't know he had an air guitar, but he does. So yeah, it was all round great atmosphere.
Not to jump all over the place, but you never saw him doing the air drumming to Devil Sold His Soul, which was fucking spectacular air drumming. I mean, it turns out all you need to do with Tom Begley to get him enjoy music is rewind 20 years to when he was a happy soul and he enjoyed life. If you get him, just before the music industry chewed him up and spat him back at the other side of like 17 world tours. We take him back to that nostalgic period where it was all innocent and he could enjoy his Devil Sold His Soul and Raging Speed on, and the innocence there is like he texts me and said, like, I wasn't even expecting it, but my two favourite bands of the entire weekend, or two sets of the weekend, were Speed Horn at the Night of Salvation and Devil Sold His Soul playing the old stuff. Absolutely fucking loved it. I mean, on the topic of Salvation, my heart and soul wants to be in every mosh pit. My heart and soul wants to jump off every speaker stack. Every time I'm not jumping off a speaker stack, it's less of the person I want to be, right? But I'm also fucking promoting the thing. I mean, and now people know that it's proper main character energy, you know what I mean? To be like getting yourself in front and jumping over stuff all the time. I just don't want to become a cliche in my own fucking thing, even if I naturally would have done it as a fan. So I'm watching it and I'm going, no, I'm not doing this, right? But they're on stage going, the reason that we're here is because of Gavin, and the reason this is fucking, and he's going to fucking solve peace in the Middle East, and he's going to cure famine, and I'm like, oh my God, and then they're doing Officer Down, and I'm right there, I'm going, cunts are jumping off the stage anyway. I want to jump off the stage. And like, I'm going to have it's the last 30 seconds, I'm going to jump in, and I swear, everyone had been crowd surfing the whole time. Is the minute I walk up on stage, the circle pit opens up, so the bit I'm about to jump into has no fans in it. It's just a wooden floor. But I'm like, I'm committed now, so I'm going. I'm fucking, and if I hit the floor, I hit the floor. I'm not walking back off the stage. So I jump, just hoping there's some big Sam Law's grasp on both my calves. So when you see the video, I kind of, and people say, you looked like you were kicking your legs. And so I was trying to get myself back up on top of the crowd because I was like, my face was going to fucking, I could break my nose. And when I get back up and he pulls me back on, and that fucking I was like, what a moment, because at that point, like, I don't know the lyrics to fucking Officer Down, but I know the bit that says Officer Down. I'm like, that was such a highlight. I'll fucking long live in the memory. It was really fucking class. I enjoyed that night so much. I would have been out to 5 a.m. I mean, A&E trips aside, I would have had if that night had been what my weekend was buttering, I'd had no complaints whatsoever. It was such a fucking great time. So that was my Friday. Fro, with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I was going to say Conjurer, but I'm going to say Conjurer for my Saturday or my Sunday highlight. No, absolutely loved Stamping Ground. They're an absolute riot. They're always great, and I only arrived for the tail end of Dead Guy, and as guys, they're just super cool guys to hang out with. They put on an amazing show, so I'll probably be split between Dead Guy and Stamping Ground as my kind of two highlights from that. I didn't stay for Raging Speedhorn because I was trying my best to be sensible.
I did think you disappeared. You were being very, Speedhorn's set list was fucking the stuff with Dreams are made of, and then Heartbreaker in there as well. Me and Tom Begley going absolutely mental for fucking Heartbreaker. The guys are just absolute legends. You can only do that event properly with those bands. You can't put a mix of international bands with their own demands, and it has to be guys that are just going to go like, we know for a fact that this is the way it is. It's a better sell. You go to any band though and say, like, the venue's sold out. Do you want to play at a sold out venue? Then that's the thing. I think the dead guy, I said to him afterwards, that wasn't that album you promised to do in full and order though, and he just smiled at me like, this is the 4th time you've done with the same fucking trick. It's like, I'm going to get fucking strung up in this shit. The reason you're back doing this one is because you didn't do it the last time. He goes, I know, but the way it rehearsed, a couple of the songs just weren't right. It was like, he said it was like 8 out of 10 of the tracks in it, and I was like, well, fuck, I suppose we'll accept it. I mean, they're going to tell me in future. Like, you keep leaving me fucking high and dry with this fucking stunt. So, what a night. And then we get back. And then your E&A trip. So, Fro, how did your Saturday go, mate?
Well, Saturday was swings and roundabouts. It was the most devastatingly emotional first start of the day, and then it picked up and brightened up considerably. So my highlight, probably the whole festival, was Overhead the Albatross, and I thought their set was spectacular. I think when we originally had them booked, they were going to be on our 3rd stage, and then when we saw them at Arc Tangent, and we seen what kind of the production, and when they have all the screens and everything else, we thought it would be a shame to put them on the 3rd stage, and so we decided to give them the opening slot on the main stage. Having watched them close out with Paul Lynch at Arc Tangent and seeing all that, and they mentioned Bry's name in that, we reached out to them, I think it was on Wednesday, when we were already down there, and we said, would you mind adding in the graphic of Bry at the very end, knowing that you're going to close with Paul Lynch? And they were super cool about it. They're like,
I mean, one step even nicer than that, Paul. We never asked them to do anything in their set at all. We just said at the very end, well, you'd be doing that because we're going to put Bry's image up at the end. And then they very kindly said, why don't we close our bit with that rather than, so why wait till we're off stage and then put Bry up? Why not just do it at the end of the music, which means everybody was still there in that moment, which was another touch of class in a fucking long list of touches of class that come for that band.
Yeah, and so just watching that song and kind of sing along, because that whole end, when they have the lyrics up and you're able to sing along to it, and it is real kind of ethereal as everyone's kind of hands in the air stuff. I was watching that from the balcony with like tears pouring down my face, and I don't think I was the only one. I think a lot of the feedback from the crowd after that set was it was very emotional for a variety of reasons for different people. It meant different things to different people, but that one was something that's definitely going to stick long in my memory on the Saturday. And then High on Fire is the other one. And that one is more just because my daughter was watching them and absolutely loved High on Fire. She was headbanging away on the balcony for the whole time. Who knew she loved massive stoner riffs? But apparently she does.
Yeah.
So she was having the best time too.
Shout out to Eloise. Man, shout out to Eloise. She was on that balcony. She had the chair pulled up right at the front, and she's like, mate, if I'm allowed to stay here for the full day and just air drum away and headbang, I'll do it. So I absolutely class. I mean, the whole, you're right to mention that start thing, the Bry thing was sitting heavily with us. You need to pitch it right as well. His mum was coming, his stepdad was coming, his brother was coming till he went back out. He's with the Navy and was back out overseas, and you're a bit like, you can't. We don't have a situation where between every single band you're putting Bry's face on a screen and just fucking putting her through a day of tournament. But also the same thing, you can't not mention it. So you've got this whole with their banner ready for them when you walked in to see, and then obviously the stall we were raising money for. Mark Latham absolutely knocked it out the park with the prints, and then pins and knuckles from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. When we sold those t-shirts that said the Party Cannon Bry for Bry, they provided them for free. We took no cut from selling them. All the money, well, probably best part of $1,000 for that, another $1,000 from the posters that Mark Latham done, another couple of $1,000 going to charities, his mum's choice. So she was absolutely overwhelmed. Bry was a massively private guy, and I'm not quite sure how often he spoke about Damnation. And then he dies, and his family are overwhelmed with this sense of emotion from the community that maybe they weren't aware that Bry was so deeply plugged into. And I think she just wanted to come and experience what it was that Bry loved. And she was up in the balcony. They had a great time, given the circumstances. Obviously a very emotional time, but they absolutely loved it there for the Saturday. And it was a great honour for me personally, and then us as a team, to be able to do that for his family and show them just how much he was fucking loved. So, I mean, Overhead the Albatross adding to that was, it was just, a funny end to that is I was doing my usual stare straight at the ceiling and try and count to see if there's any holes in the metal to anything but cry. As I'm doing that, my mate, my born 3 weeks apart, best mate when I've grown up, a guy called Chris Dykes, him and his missus listen to this podcast, didn't even know that for a reason. I was side by side best mates to about 16, 17. I moved to Dumfries. Kind of grew apart a wee bit. Not really seen him much over the last 20 years, but he's into that sort of real popular side of metal, the fucking Panteras and Disturbs and that kind of pish. And he likes Hobbit culture. And he was like, oh, I'll come down. So I sent him and his missus some tickets. And he spotted me at the end of fucking Ball Lynch. So he got us to say, all right, big man. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I haven't seen this guy like, I don't know, 10 years. I'm going busting in tears. It's like, I don't think we're all that close now. It was an emotional start to the day. And aye. So yours were the couple of highlights we picked under yours are the over at the Albatross and High Fire. James, how was your Saturday?
Yeah, good. So came in a bit late. Missed all of that. I actually met Bry's. Paul introduced me to Bry's mum, which was lovely to say hello, and she was having a very emotional day. I'm really glad we met. And then me and my friend. So it was a weird group of friends, right? We're not. It wasn't really a group of friends. It was lots of different people that are in some way connected, mostly via 2000 Trees and Arctangent, and they'd all heard about it on the podcast, or you drunkenly invited them at Trees or ATG, and they all just wanted to come. And I was thinking, some of these lot have never been to a metal festival, and they're gonna fucking hate it. And like the first band we all went to see together is Castle Rat, and you can see some of them thinking, this is exactly why I've been taking the piss out of this guy for fucking 20 years. I knew metal bands would all have swords and shields and fucking masks, and like it was like the most. It's just some of their faces was fucking hilarious. So that was fun. I really non-metal mates watching Castle Rat was good. And then I watched about 1 million bands the whole festival. I thought Mesa were brilliant. The sound of Mesa was fucking epic. And my band of the day, I'm very pleased to say, was Perturbator. I thought it sounded fucking brilliant. The production looked brilliant. I was stood next to you, Gav, when the stage split in half, and we were pretty impressed with that. And you know, it was really, really great. I didn't really know what to expect from Perturbator live. I know you may not call Damnation a metal festival, but when you're Perturbator,
it's a metal. Listen, I see this when people try to pretend Damnation is an extreme metal festival. It is an extreme metal festival. Our fan base is built on extreme metal. The biggest bands we book are extreme metal. We do a lot of other stuff, all the way to post-rock, and you can have your Meryl Streaks and Perturbators now. But at its core, we're an extreme metal festival. So I accept that, and to get a band like that coming and delivering that set's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, big crowd, great reaction from the crowd. Songs went down really well. They don't just do bangers, Perturbator. They don't just do in your face. They do some quite subtle stuff, and I thought it was all great. So yeah, big thumbs up to Perturbator. How about you on Saturday, Gav?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a weird day Saturday because again, the people that don't know the Saturday was all these fresh faces and new bands played, hadn't they played your Death Heavens and Orbit Cultures and Perturbators and all, and then the Sunday was all our friends, all the guys coming back and doing it all again, your Nathrax and Speed Horns and fucking Stamping Grounds and Ammon Raz and Napalm Deaths. So the Saturday I was kind of bounced a bit, and I was like, oh, I always thought that would be the more exciting day collectively for folk, because the Sunday was all about us just celebrating the Damnation's history. And I caught a lot. I mean, I caught quite a lot of them for Oryx and Devastator right at the very start. But the feeling that I said it would happen to me the last time, you're sitting there, you're like, this is amazing that Oryx have got this crowd and Devastator have got this crowd, but there's just far too much to happen to even get your head into the zone of being able to sit there and properly enjoy it. Overhead Albatross had its own thing going on with Paul Lynch, but then I started seeing it a wee bit more. Took my daughter to see Meryl Streep. She's utterly obsessed with fucking Meryl Streep. See that as well. There's a pressure there as you're watching, because you're like, Meryl Streep's first set at Trees was fucking unreal. I mean, the big mosh pit going, okay, enough. Like, Damnation needs to deliver. That I want him to come to a metal festival and it to deliver. So see when the fucking Wall of Death opened up and people were going to be, I was like, this is it. Yes, it was absolutely fucking brilliant. Enjoyed that. Bounced a bit, caught wee bit 7. Second half of them Skewer, amazing. High and Fire, amazing. Death Heaven, amazing. EF, amazing. Perturbator up, and that was fucking. I mean, when I looked at you, I was like, for a second, I thought it was a different event. I was like, how can the festival that we organise? I didn't know the stage was going to split in two. So I'm just like, why is the stage splitting in two? With lights coming up through the middle of it? Like, I'm watching it going, this is fucking. I mean, sometimes you go to stadiums and you don't see production like this. Why is the lights coming up through the middle? And how's that happening? And why did no one tell me? I'm like, this is fucking the best thing ever happened. So Perturbator was just that whole next level of, my God, we really have fucking delivered. And not only is it a fucking video wall up there that goes for the length of a street, who they're now using very cleverly, that's been part of their production. They just incorporated that into out there, what they were doing. And I was like, this is fucking incredible. I caught the last bits, a wee bit of The World's a Beautiful Place, sounded brilliant, but again, at that point, you're tired, and then Crowsnick informed me I was beside you guys on the way. There's no real, for me, I enjoyed so much a lot of the Saturday, but it was nothing about, it was like, oh my God, like, Death Heaven was so much better than Meryl Streep, or Meryl Streep was so much better than fucking Dim Skewer. I was like, I was in a state of flux through it all, just kind of enjoy it, hoping that it was going. I was like, is it really going this smoothly? There was a bit of this, every crowd's really this big, everyone's really having a good time. So the Saturday was a bit of a head scratcher, and I enjoyed it right to the very end. And then I think I got a couple of drinks, and then Oski after Crosnick, because I did make that the Cantina bar closed at 1 that night as well. So I was like, there's no way I'm leaving a Cantina bar open till like 3 in the morning and it's Saturday with the Sunday still to come. So that is my Saturday.
Good. I mean, I would echo what you said about Meryl Streep. What a brilliant thing that it could be so busy at a festival like Damnation. I think it was so fucking busy, and I just think that's amazing. I love it.
And you're talking about your non-metal pals. So my pals, Paul, my best mate's best man at my wedding, kind of day comes down, and it always makes Flo a wee bit nervous when he sees them in the venue, because they're the kind of people that can get a showstop happening very quickly. And they swap, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to direct him. There's no point sending him to fucking see a Devastator or anything. I mean, like, they listen to Stereophonics and they think some of that's death metal. So I'm trying to think, what could he be interested in? Let's check out Meryl Streep. So a few of them came down, they're like, that's fucking, no, Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep's like an angry Irish Jerry Cinnamon. And I was like, you're totally right, that's exactly what he's like. I'm not sure you could take it as much as a compliment, but okay, that's exactly what he's like. So they enjoyed that too. And then they're just chaos. I mean, aside on the Saturday, they're just pure chaos whenever going. That was him actually quite calmed down. And then again, you're here and you're like, mate, I'm all about this sort of buzz at the minute. This is when I want to be with it. And I'm like, no, we're not getting rid of them. I'm like, we're not getting rid of them, we're keeping them here.
Yeah, you were checking them out, and I wasn't I was having them back in. They were great value, lovely, good to hang out with them.
They're some boys.
That's a whole podcast in itself, that is.
Let's
Sunday then.
The Sunday, Paul. Tell me about how your Sunday started without sleeper here.
Yeah. So I did not sleep. So I came in absolutely exhausted, but thoroughly enjoyed Conjure. I was going to put them in as my highlight for the Friday. I've saved them as one of my highlights for the Sunday. The new album is spectacularly great. The visuals that they had to go alongside the album on that screen, it looked crispy as fuck. It looked so good. It all worked really, really well. I have to give a shout out to Brady on this one. He spent a bit of time with Eloise on the Saturday. Was like, are you coming to watch Conjure? And she was trying to play it coach. I don't know, I'll see, maybe. And he made a big thing about her going to watch them, and she did, and she absolutely loved it. And he gave her t-shirt. She was absolutely over the moon about that. But from a performance side, it was amazing. Conjure have to start going places. Like, that album, everything about it with the visuals, it was amazing to see. So they were one of my ones. And then there's no damnation that you don't have to talk about the house band Nathrak, who mixed it up, put a great set together. Didn't repeat as much from like the set they did 2 years ago. A few real deep cuts in there in terms of the choices. And then when they kind of finish off with Forward, and the whole place just went absolutely mental. So for me, those are my kind of my two big highlight takeaways from the Sunday. Yeah, but it was a much more relaxed day because you knew everyone and all the bands. You knew what you were getting, what you were expecting. I was certainly far more relaxed come Sunday than I was on the Saturday. So yeah, definitely Sunday was my preferred day of the two.
James, how was your Sunday after you managed to actually get some sleep?
I mean, agreed on Conjurer. They're not one of the two I'm going to pick, but that had like Unpeople at 2000 Trees vibes in that the crowd should not be this big at this time of day. Fucking hell. And they were so good. The visuals look great. My two bands were by far my favourite two bands of the festival on Sunday. And when I watched Coil Guns after they finished, I thought there's no way anyone's beating this. So electric live, fucking absolutely captivating. You couldn't take your eyes off the front man. Like extremely charismatic and likable, but also quite dangerous. Spent a lot of time in the crowd, climbed on top of the speaker stack. Songs were great. If you like fucking like at the drive-in era, post-hardcore, it's that kind of thing. But they definitely sound like their own. They've got their own sound, but it's from that era kind of thing. And it's a left field choice for Damnation, I think, and it went down great with the crowd. People fucking loved it, and they were just absolutely amazing. So I came out of that being like, there's no way it's going to be beaten. And then it got absolutely slapped around the face by the best band of the festival by a fucking million miles. I was so excited to say that Psychonaut blew my head off. I know you probably think, Gav, that I really like Psychonaut, which I do. This is not what I was expecting. My notes said, my slightly drunken notes said, best band ever, so good it was a religious experience. That's how good Psychonaut was. So they're like, I think they've flown up the post-metal ranks in the last year. So I would now talk about them alongside The Ocean when I watch them live. And that is a massive compliment from me. Like they're one of the best post-metal live bands out there. What they're doing is really difficult. The guitar playing is really complicated, and they've got various different types of vocals they do, and it sounds exactly like the record. Perfect. It's like Pink Floyd does post-metal. Fucking outstanding. I was so excited when they'd finished about how good it was. I actually went. I don't do this very often. I went to the merch stand to just tell them how great they were and just talk in their ears and just be like, "You're fucking amazing."
Man, I can see people above you can back up. You're like, "Did you see Psychonaut?" And obviously, our runner bands just got a hand a wee bit. It was completely unnecessary and over the top. That Sunday was completely fucking needless, and I was really angry with myself at one point that it had been billed that way. So there was like Coil Guns and Psychonaut, two bands I would go and check out 9 times out of 10 if they weren't clashing with my boys and like Rage Speed on the Stamping Ground. So I'm delighted you fucking enjoyed them that much and they were that good. And I look forward to seeing them properly. I think I have saw them at Art Tangent before, but I look forward to seeing them properly with that praise ringing in my ears at Art Tangent next year. I mean, fucking hell, man. I did get a wee bit annoyed with myself about how the Sunday panned out. I mean, went in and had the mothers for the start. Me and Flo were trying to make a wee new tradition of getting a can of Conjurer's unself beer and getting into the opening band, cracking and saying, okay, let's have a good. So I had the mothers who were fucking phenomenal and had a great set right from off the bat. But then it was like Dinner Celestial Birds, Stamping Ground, Radiant Speed Tom, Ping Destroyer, Devil Soul the Soul, Anno Nathrak, Nordic Giants. By the time I got to Nordic Giants, I was fucking livid. I was like, because every time I got to the end, I knew there would be bands I'd like to see, but I didn't realise it was a band like, I didn't realise I was leaving Raging Speed Tom to walk into Pig Destroyer, to walk out of Pig Destroyer to see Devil Soul the Soul, to leave Devil Soul the Soul to go to Anno Nathrak. And I'm talking like starting, like Devil Soul the Soul just finishing Like It's Your Last, and Nathrak are just starting their first chord. Like, I can't breathe, man. I can't fucking, I need a second to process some of this. Give me, who the fuck puts together a schedule like this? This isn't fucking, should be marine training. No, an event you're trying to enjoy yourself. So by the time I got to Nordic Giants, I was exhausted. I got 3 tracks. I was with Cadence, my daughter. And I was like, I just need fresh air and a fucking, 10 seconds to stare at the sky and be like, all I've done is watch for the last 4 hours. It's just back-to-back bangers with bands playing to crowds that are just ridiculous that they would never have. And I just having the time of my life, and I need, because I think I came up and I sat in the balcony and I was like, how are we like 4 hours or 5 hours away from Napalm Death? There's so much more to come. And it never stopped. I got that, and then I totally missed the Haunted. I sacrificed a band that booked and wanted to see, saw none of them, heard them for the merch tanks. I was sitting out there, and then I caught a bit of Mantar because I was like, I need to see a bit of Mantar who were excellent. And Amun Ra, I feel like sometimes you're watching Amun Ra, you're like, does anybody match this live? Is this even comparable to anything else you see in life? Just sitting in the balcony going, this is fucking unbelievable. Religious is just the lazy way to describe it now, but that's how it is. You're like, this is unreal. Are they the best live band ever? It's fucking ridiculous. So then with Spectral Wound, caught a bit of them, heard a tiny bit of Warning, none of it did, and then I watched Napalm Death. If you call that watching, standing up for the couch every 2 minutes and looking over the balcony and going, oh, that's still good. But I mean, my sets of those days, I mean, Devil Sold His Soul doing a Fragile Hope and Darkness Prevails material and Amun Ra were the ones that were like, oh my God. But then I actually swapped it. I mean, I say Stamping Ground and Rages, but Tommy said I'd easily take them as well. But if I'm picking two, Devil Sold His Soul and Amun Ra were the ones that are just unreal.
Did you enjoy the Devil Sold His Soul t-shirt? That one of the frontmen was wearing.
Yes.
So he comes out at the time like, he had like a pullover or something, which is, oh well, at least he's not got a t-shirt on, good joke and all that. And he takes it says Martha Gav, and then you're like, and then you get that self-conscious thing, like, 'cause I'm right at the front as well, so then like I feel like you'd want to start making eye contact with somebody who's like, the joke's on you, but at the same time I'm in on the joke, and it was great. I've got a picture. I went to the merch tent and got a picture with him holding the t-shirt outside, so they were class for the start. I've got 2 of your vinyl from they delivered to me as well, the 2 records that they played, and I want to see that. See what Paul said about Conjurer, and looking out there and seeing Conjurer with that fucking almost 5,000 people in it at 12 o'clock, and just what's next to them? Like, come on, let's move this on. This is what they can do. Let's get this fucking band into where they should be. I mean, like, Devil Sold His Soul will obviously be a band for a long time, but like, okay, people wake back up again how fucking good this band are. I mean, how fucking exceptional live they are, and let's see some of these British bands getting the pop they deserve. I think sometimes we forget that these bands are as good as they are, and we should go out and support them, and the other festivals should be booking them. For European festivals as well, let's get these bands out there and push. So I hope that this year's Damnation does
100%.
a good bit of business for us. So that was great. And then after that, it was a absolute free-for-all up at the fucking cantina, and the end of the weekend, people are starting about at 1:30, 2 in the morning, trying to get taxis for fucking the arena. Paul saying, you know what, I just come back to the hotel for one, mate. And I'm like, oh no, if I do that, it'll definitely be 8 in the morning, and I'll never be back in this site for pack down. So fortunately, I mean, I still went back and made an absolute cunt anyway, but I had the best weekend. Honestly, I'm smiling so much now. I came on this call a wee bit broken. I'm fucking smiling so much now about just reliving some of it, because it's the first time I've actually tried to put some of what happened together and how much it meant to so many people, and it was just fucking brilliant. I loved it.
Amazing. So we got 10 or 15 minutes left before a couple of us got to run off to pick up the kids. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, do you want to talk about the new famous guy on Facebook, Mr. The Shit the Bed guy?
I mean, you know,
so
I missed this completely, right? 'Cause I people think I'm kidding on when I say I stay off social media over the weekend. I stay off social media over the weekend. The odd thing I like might get shown to me, whatever. But this shit the bed thing, by the time I came in it, it was already fucking becoming its own meme. Like viral meme fucking. So I was like, what's going on here? And but it's the guy Scott Bamford, who's a listener to the podcast, and like a genuinely lovely guy. I think he just like, I want to make sure that people don't get food poisoning, and I'm going to share a wee bit too much information. And people.
His Facebook post started, "Morning campers, did anyone else actually shit the bed last night?"
I mean, to be fair, if you're going to come in with that level of honesty, I mean, I suppose you're going to have to stand up to the fucking when it comes back. And I'm sure that everyone's doing it in good jest, but oh my God, that became its own thing. I was like, why is the Damnation Forum's top 15 posts about some guy shitting in bed and absolutely nothing about Amun Ra?
His level of honesty has to be commended, but I think my favorite reply to it was, "You couldn't waterboard that information out of me." It's just like, just happily sharing it with everyone. But
so listen, that was class. Let's I mean, quickly, any big plans, changes for next year? I don't. Yes, it'll be better. It'll be better, right? The bands are the bands. We can do what we can do. Somebody mentioned about the screens. Those aren't screens that we've got on the stage. They're fucking video walls. I mean, the second stage for certain angles looks like it's our main stage. The video wall in there was so big. Those things will continue. Things will continue to get marginally better every single year. We'll ask the bands, because what a difference it makes when the bands utilise the screen properly. Like, we're giving you this opportunity. Amazing the amount of things that bands drill down on you on for their advancing, and then you give them the opportunity to do this, and they show up with a black and white fucking logo and stick it in a 15-metre video wall. You're like, come and do what Nathrak or Conjurer or fucking, even if you're one rot and you're just using a static image, make it punchy. Make it something that's going to be in your fucking socials for the rest of the time. I mean, don't make it look like you just put up a fabric banner. So that's that. We're staying 2 days. You can't waterboard the 2 days it is now. We are in on 2 days. Night of Salvation will largely be roughly what it is the same. Please fucking book early. There's 1,500 new heroes already in it. That is going to make a big difference to what we can do. I made the example this year. Strong pre-sales allowed us to go and book Spectral Wind instead of a local band when they lost either Frail Body or Toxic Holocaust. Spectral Wind were a lot more than either of those bands, and we paid it because we could. We didn't have to go local and get a band that would just open up a stage and replace it. We had the money, we had the budget, we had the confidence to go and get Spectral Wind and add an extra layer to Damnation. That's only getting done with strong pre-sales. If you wait to get your ticket to fucking 2 days beforehand, you're not getting Spectral Wind. So it's in your best interest as well to make the entire event as strong as it can possibly be. And that's all I would say about that. Fro, anything you'd like to add?
It'll all be little improvements, just like how things like ped barrier to direct everyone to everything and putting in some extra seats. It's all going to be just little increments. We can't put a 4th stage in there or whatever else, and you're not going to get a McDonald's drive-through on the site. But it'll all be like the little things. Like, we're going to make wherever we can make little changes to make it a better experience for those who come. We absolutely will. So yeah, we'll take a couple of days, decompress, debrief on this year, and then start planning full steam ahead for 2026.
And who we definitely hope to have in 2026 is our good friend fucking Luz Brews, and ideally, well, I'm in these stages as well. He gives us sauces for the bands as well in the dress rooms, and he left me 4 or 5 anal vomits. If you think I'm putting anal vomit 3 into any band's dressing room before they go and play my event, you're off your fucking mind. So happy to send you those 3 or 4 or 5 anal vomits back, Lou. But the other ones we did give them, the reviews were fucking fantastic. The Damnation sauces went down an absolute treat. The beers that we received from the likes of Holy Go and was it Osetta or Osset? Were fantastic. We got beers for Queer Brewing. Everyone fucking loved them, including James. I think you sampled quite a few of them as well in the initial balcony. And it's nice to have them. Let's keep all those deals going. Lou, you are a fucking hero. He has a new sauce out, the Bossman chili kebab sauce. I had it last night. Used some of these seasonings on the air fryer. Chicken was beautiful already. Chili Bossman's on top of it. Fucking class. He's a character. Love working with him. Hope to work with him again in future, both the pod and again at Damnation. So please, like ISO merch, support the guy because he's one of the good guys supporting the others. Use pod15 at lowesbrews.co.uk and go and get yourself a bunch of Bossman chili kebab sauce. Almost there, boys. Almost there before we collapse. The Patreon. Let's pick somebody at the fucking Patreon. Big jog of joy. Luke Mayo, Mayell. You are this week's hero. I have got so much to catch up now. I don't even know what's happened in the last fucking 6 weeks of the Jug of Joy and Patreon. It will all get sorted. The person who wanted to pick up their patch got their patch. The person who needed to get a hoodie got their hoodie. The person who wanted to fucking work for 4 days for free got to work for 4 days for free. We even get Kaylee Nicholson and her partner up onto the balcony as she requested to watch Death Heaven. If we say we're going to fucking do something on this podcast, we're going to fucking do it. So get involved, support the Patreon, support the pod, and you can ask us for some outlandish thing like working for 4 days for free yourself when your turn comes. On the record.
It is. Right.
I've
I go first?
picked one. I'm too tired to even think about it. So you used to tell me you're on the records and then go and pick up your kids.
Yeah, I'm giving you a bit of time, give you a bit of thinking time. Right. So I've gone with Spherical Lie by Ted Mull. It was amazing to have them return at Damnation. Absolutely amazing, brutal band. And you had pits started within like 10 minutes of their opening notes. They'd already gotten kind of pits going nice and early. Yeah, it came about again straight from the forum. People were like, "Oh, it'd be great to have some of the old bands kind of coming back." A nod back to the 20 years of Damnation. We reached out to the guys in the summer; they were up for it, and yeah, it was great to have that happen. So that's my pick. Hopefully, people enjoy it.
Lovely stuff.
James?
Mine is I'm going to go for All Apart by Conjurer. I checked; there's no Conjurer song on the record yet. So look, they were amazing at Damnation. The new album's brilliant. I could have picked any song off this. If you like heavy, bleak music, then check them out. I think it's got potential to be their best album yet. So get involved.
Absolutely fantastic. I am not going to put anything on the record this week at all. Because I can. Because I just can't think of it. My brain won't let me process it. And I've done enough. Listen, guys. Fro, fucking legend. Also, shout out to there'll be the crew with Mike, retired after fucking God knows how many years was. I think Big Peter's away with him. Thank you for all your efforts, guys. Thank you to my family. Thank you to Tom Stabler and his runner, Angela, Callum, Marios, of course, the boat through, James, Fro. Thanks for showing up with our team of 13 that was reduced quickly to a team of 4. Maca and more on the merch tent, all the SBS staff, the venue staff, the fucking fans. I mean, we have no right to be putting on Conjurer and Pig Destroyer and Nafrak to 6,000 people in the UK. It's not a thing. Go and see those bands elsewhere. The reason it works is because of you, because you support this event. You've turned it into some fucking monster mutation of what it's supposed to be. I don't think we need headliners this year. I hope we don't. I think we can just book the best fucking band possible to finish the bill. That's what we want to do. Do you want to make this as strong as possible 2026? Let's fucking go.
Yes.
Buy your pod tickets.
Fuck yeah.
Smash it.
See you next week, James.
See you guys.
I'll probably speak to you later. Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.